Hey viewers, I hope you're all as happy as we are. We're having such a good time reminiscing about well, even before I ever met you. But and as a reminder, everyone, Jackie has Brett's Vegas View that I publish, and I have for about 4 or 5 years now.
Something like that now.
Every Monday on VegasOnlyEntertainment.com, you can go to the Vegas VIP section of my site, and Jackie's column is there. And it's a lot of work.
It's a lot.
Trust me, folks. She gets all the input of what's going on, what's not going on, tickets, times, places, and puts it all in a convenient spot for you. And then I publish it. So it's always a joy.
Actually, I've been in print every week since I've been here, practically.
That's right.
Yeah.
You have had a column and or writing and
well, it used to be actually in print. Now
That's right, in print. You were, Darlene.
Newspapers.
And yes. Oh, she's wears so many hats. It's amazing. But we were talking about muumuus.
Oh, that's so funny.
Do the muumuu, and then we'll go on to the hats.
Yeah, so Disneyland, I got to visit Disneyland 2 years after it opened, and it was a trip that really had an impact on a young person.
It was that interesting.
Oh my God, yeah.
What,
and that time with
muumuus,
my
or?
mom. No, actually, I was talking about the fact that back then we didn't have the highway systems that we have today, and our cars, unless you had money, didn't have air conditioning.
And
we came out here in the summer, and it was hot, and people smoked back then. So my mother drove with one hand, this arm out the window, which she went home with a second-degree burn on her arm. It was like
people didn't wear sunscreen back then either. That was not. We didn't get into that until
and
the
they
70s.
Smoked. I mean, all you have to do. I was watching an I Love Lucy the other day, an old one, and there's Desi talking to little Desi, smoking right in front of him.
I know,
and
it was martinis and cigarettes back in the
so
40s.
it really, but it was still a beautiful time. People were. They'd come through World War II. McCarthy, by 52, they got through that. And people, the late 50s were probably the most free, kindest time that we've ever had.
I think their hearts were probably filled with a lot of gratitude and appreciation.
Oh, my God. Because they'd made it through the Depression and World War II.
Right.
Because my mom was a senior in high school when the war broke out.
I
so,
can't imagine.
What happened, and then of course people came home and they got married and had families, and that's when we started having the broken homes, because the combination, And another thing people don't understand about today's war versus then, most of our men, not that many came home injured, most of them died. Now we have so many coming back injured because
mentally and physically,
because we can put bodies back together that we couldn't years ago.
Yeah, that's true. I never thought of that. That's a really good
that's the sadder
analogy.
part of life, but it's the reality.
Right. So again, on that note, salutations to all our veterans, past
please.
and I wish I didn't have to say future, but past and present. Hopefully not so much in the future, but it's a very strange world we live in, Miss Jackie.
Yes.
Well, you've got a great perspective on things. You have a wonderful perspective on Las Vegas. And I know, and other guests on my show who are magicians, musicians, chefs, everybody saw a big shift in Vegas in the 90s. That's when it seemed to have gone more corporate.
Well, there was a shift right before that, around 1982, 83, when the IRS, when the mob was being moved out, as we know it, and the IRS came in, and because they had to make accounting for everybody that was a tip earner, which was your valet, your bellman, your
I remember that.
your waitresses and all that, that is had a huge change in the way acts were booked, etc. And see, the headliners used to come in 2 weeks straight and do that 8 o'clock show I mentioned, the midnight show.
The midnight show.
Well, acts, and you can see that was, like Wayne Newton and that, the stress of doing that for so many years. None of the entertainers wanted to do 2 shows and do 2 weeks anymore. So that, and then the IRS changing, that's when you stop seeing the dinner shows one by one.
Oh, I wonder.
Yeah, that was when that happened. So the 80s had a change, and then you are absolutely right. The 90s became the corporate, And as we know, we only have so many owners on the Strip, which would be
True.
Harrah's, which is now Caesars Entertainment. Then you have the MGM and all their properties, and then you have, Trump, Wynn, Adelson, and then in the local areas you have Station Casinos and maybe a couple other.
Right.
But otherwise, it's totally changed. Years ago, Howard Hughes owned, like 6 properties, but they were still treated more individually. I mean, they had their own
management
stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Once corporate came in, you don't even know sometimes where
Right. I know. I don't.
where they had, and you can see that now with today's media. Right now, for every major TV station to be sold in Las Vegas, and the newspaper, the main newspaper, twice in less than a year's time is unheard of, and the headquarters for these companies, for the most part, are not here.
Right.
So it downsizes the jobs here, and it goes to the corporation where they can do accounting and stuff like that in their corporate buildings that
Right.
aren't here.
Yeah,
So-
because I got my job, which was amazing at Circus with Mel Larson, and then as you know, my fiance had a sailboat, and he said, "Would you rather be transferred up to Reno and work in an office, or go sail around the world and write for sail magazines?" Well, I think it took me a nanosecond. We didn't even think of
Well,
nanosecond.
especially when we're young, we make decisions.
Girl,
yeah.
I was out here. I was
Yeah,
on that
yeah.
boat, and we lost track. And then I kept jumping ship. Oh well, that's in my novels. But when I came back, I went to work for Harrison Caldwell, and I went to an event, and I knew Mel because he was. Oh boy, they loved him. And I ran into Jackie, and she was, "Well, where have you been?"
Yeah.
And we've always carried that.
Right.
Even when I retired to raise my family, 10 years ago for 16 years, and I come back, there we
Yeah.
are. And it was just like we picked up where we never had left off. It's just.
I always laugh if somebody wants to find me and they say they can't, then I really got to wonder what's going on, because all you have to do is put my name in and it'll come
Absolutely.
up.
Or go
on
to
the internet.
www.vegasonlyentertainment.com, or even, you're going to be in my archives here on That's So Vegas, which is
Right.
wonderful.
Okay.
So for those who may have missed the show today, or you have friends who want to see the show, hopefully tomorrow they'll be archived and you can come back and look at it anytime and visit with Jackie. So you really, really, and also not just have watched the changes, you literally have been the fingers on the pulse throughout this with the PR and publicity, different shows, Cirque coming to town, different elements. I mean, it's
Well,
all,
and then I worked for the state tourism office for
Yes,
13 years,
yes.
so I was marketing the entire state of Nevada.
right.
Yeah.
And that's got to, I mean, Nevada does have a lot of wonderful things
Oh,
to
my
offer.
God.
That
I
a lot
love
of
it.
people- I do too.
There's interesting things people don't know. We're the 7th largest of the states, but the most interesting thing is we're the most mountainous, and people don't
I didn't know that.
know that people don't
I didn't think
believe it. But everywhere you are in the state of Nevada, there is a mountain range in view. And even though Colorado has like the deeper canyon to the height of the mountain that you see visually, ours are very, very high, and the entire state goes uphill.
Yeah, I kind of noticed that because I
Yes,
do love my road trips.
And you'll use less gas coming back this way. Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
There are so many points.
So yes, it's fun
just
to
little
market.
day trips outside
Oh,
of the city
yeah.
and stuff. In Mount Charleston, there's probably skiing up there right now.
Oh, there's a lot of skiing this year.
And Brian Head's
Yes.
not that far away, not to take away from Vegas, but we've got about a minute left in this segment. Time flies. What if you could have kept anything from the past?
Mm-hmm.
Your greatest experiences from the 50s on, and put it into today. If you could drop it in, what would it be?
It would be people enjoying each other more. The cell phones, it's very sad to walk in a room and see everybody with their head down.
Because they have to tweet it, or
Right.
they have to, Instagram.
We were more communicative in a humane sense,
Personal.
personal sense. That is the thing I miss the most. Everything is
yeah.
What do you mean you didn't answer me back? Well, my computer was broken. That's no
Exactly.
excuse.
Right.
I mean,
well, we couldn't pick up the phone like I could have this morning.
but you forget.
Yeah. Goodness, we'll be back. Here's a little shout out to the Red Roof Inn, my sponsor. We'll be back with Jackie Brett. Don't go away.